Botswana is one of the few African countries to have undergone an impressive economic transformation since its independence in 1966. While many nations on the continent have struggled with political instability, corruption, and resource mismanagement, Botswana has distinguished itself through exemplary governance, sustained economic growth, and the intelligent use of its natural resources. With one of the highest GDP per capita in Africa and rigorous public financial management, the country even surpasses some larger and more resource-rich economies. Unlike other nations rich in raw materials but hampered by poor governance, Botswana has avoided the resource curse. But how did a landlocked country, 70% covered by the Kalahari Desert and initially one of the poorest in the world, succeed where so many others have failed? What economic and political choices have enabled it to build a model of prosperity and stability? In this video, we will explore the keys to Botswana's success and the lessons other African countries could learn from it. Stay tuned until the end to discover this unique African success story. One of the main factors behind Botswana's economic success is its political stability and good governance. Unlike many African countries marked by coups, authoritarian regimes, or mismanagement of resources, Botswana has chosen a model based on democracy, transparency, and strong institutions. Since its independence in 1966, Botswana has maintained a democratic system with free and fair elections. The country has experienced several peaceful transitions of power, a rare occurrence in Africa where political struggles often result in crises or conflicts. Successive leaders, from Sir Kama to President Boko today, have prioritized continuity in economic and social policies over instability and personal interests. This political stability has helped create a climate of trust, fostering investment and economic development. Unlike some African countries where political uncertainty hampers growth, Botswana is seen as a model of good governance. Another key factor is the low level of corruption. Botswana is consistently ranked among the least corrupt countries in Africa by Transparency International. Its secret? Strong institutions, an independent judiciary, and zero tolerance for the misappropriation of public funds. While in some resource-rich countries, oil or mining revenues are often siphoned off by a ruling elite, in Botswana, diamond money is reinvested in education, infrastructure, and healthcare. Botswana also stands out for its efficient management of its public finances. Unlike many African countries that incur excessive debt, the Botswanan government has always adopted a prudent approach. Budget surpluses from natural resources are invested in a sovereign wealth fund, thus ensuring long-term economic stability. Finally, the independence of the judiciary and respect for the rule of law ensure a favorable business environment. Investors have confidence in legal certainty and the absence of political interference, which contributes to the country's economic growth. Botswana is one of the few African countries to have avoided the resource curse, a phenomenon in which abundant mineral wealth often leads to corruption, inequality, and economic instability. Unlike other countries where resources have generated conflict or the personal enrichment of elites, Botswana has successfully transformed its diamonds into a lever for sustainable development. When diamond deposits were discovered shortly after independence, the Botswanan government quickly realized that prudent management would be essential to ensure the country's prosperity. Instead of leaving this wealth in the hands of foreign companies or a small elite, the state negotiated a unique partnership with De Beers, the world's leading diamond company. In 1969, this alliance gave birth to Botswana, a joint venture equally owned by the government and De Beers. This model has enabled Botswana to capture a significant portion of the profits generated by diamond mining, ensuring that these revenues benefit the entire population. Furthermore, with the creation of the Botswana Diamond Trading Company, DTC, the country has gradually integrated diamond processing and trading activities, adding value to its industry. Where other countries waste their natural resources on unnecessary expenditures, Botswana has adopted a responsible approach by reinvesting diamond profits in key sectors. The state provides significant funding for primary, secondary, and university education, providing the population with access to quality training and contributing to the country's growth. Infrastructure also receives significant investment. Roads, hospitals, and electricity networks have been developed with mining revenues, thus promoting trade and the well-being of citizens. A portion of the profits is invested to ensure economic stability and prevent shocks related to the volatility of the diamond market. Aware of the limitations of over-reliance on diamonds, Botswana is seeking to diversify its economy. With the Okavango Delta, one of the world's largest unspoiled ecosystems, Botswana is focusing on high-end, eco-responsible tourism, attracting visitors from around the world. The government is investing in agricultural technologies adapted to the country's arid conditions to ensure greater food self-sufficiency. Thanks to a stable business environment, Botswana aspires to become a regional hub for financial and technology services. Botswana has established itself as one of Africa's best-performing economies, posting sustained growth since independence. While many African countries experience cycles of economic instability linked to commodity price fluctuations, Botswana has maintained an upward trajectory thanks to prudent fiscal management and strategic choices aimed at stimulating long-term development. Since the 1970s, Botswana has recorded one of the highest growth rates in the world, sometimes reaching over 10% per year. This remarkable performance is attributable to several factors: a rigorous fiscal policy that limits the waste of public resources, infrastructure investments to support productive sectors, and transparent management of mining revenues, preventing capital flight and promoting redistribution. A key element of this success is the country's low debt level. Unlike other African nations heavily indebted to international institutions or foreign creditors, Botswana has adopted a prudent approach. It avoids excessive borrowing and strives to maintain a healthy fiscal balance, which allows it to exercise economic sovereignty and better withstand global crises. This economic growth not only benefits large companies or the state, it has enabled the emergence of a vibrant middle class, a phenomenon that is still all too rare in Africa. Thanks to policies that promote entrepreneurship and employment, more and more citizens are achieving a more comfortable standard of living. The signs of this transformation are visible everywhere: increased purchasing power, with easier access to modern goods and services. Private sector development, particularly in trade, finance and services, and access to property and modern infrastructure, with better quality housing and increasing urbanization. This growing middle class creates stronger domestic demand, thus stimulating the economy and reducing dependence on commodity exports. By diversifying its sources of growth and investing in its human capital, Botswana is consolidating its position as an African economic model. A country's development does not rely solely on its economic growth or the management of its natural resources. Botswana understood early on that investment in education and health was the key to sustainable progress. Thanks to ambitious policies, the country has succeeded in improving its population's standard of living, creating a skilled workforce, and ensuring access to healthcare for a large number of citizens. Education is one of the pillars of Botswana's success. Since independence, the government has made access to free education a priority to enable the population to play an active role in the country's development. Schooling is compulsory until the age of 15, which has led to one of the highest literacy rates in Africa. The national budget allocated to education is one of the largest on the continent, making it possible to build schools throughout the country, even in rural areas. To reduce dependence on expatriates, the government invested in the creation of universities and vocational training centers, allowing young people to access higher education in key fields such as engineering, medicine, and administration. Botswana also established scholarships to send its students abroad, with the aim of having them return to contribute to the country's development. This strategy has paid off, as the country now has a trained and skilled elite to ensure its future growth. One of Botswana's greatest challenges has been the fight against HIV/AIDS, a crisis that hit the country hard in the 1990s. Rather than denying the problem, the government adopted a proactive and transparent policy, becoming an example in Africa for health crisis management. Botswana was one of the first African countries to provide free access to antiretroviral drugs on a large scale, significantly reducing HIV/AIDS-related mortality. Educational campaigns have been conducted to inform the population and reduce the stigma surrounding people living with HIV. An efficient hospital network is being developed, ensuring that even rural areas have access to basic care. Thanks to these efforts, Botswana has increased its population's life expectancy and strengthened the resilience of its health system, thus ensuring a healthier future for its citizens. Botswana's approach proves that with wise choices, a long-term vision, and structural reforms, it is possible to build a better future for the people of Africa. Other African countries can learn valuable lessons from Botswana's experience, particularly in natural resource management, economic diversification, transparent governance, and human development. What are your thoughts on Botswana's economic model? Is it a model that other African countries can replicate? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Africa Revealed for more inspiring videos on the development and success of African countries. Together, let's discover what makes Africa shine in a new light.